Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. The Ghost here. Thanks for coming back and checking it out. So this video is a reshoot for me. Last night I tried shooting a video on these ALMONT rekeys. This is one that I had in my collection for quite a long time. This is one that I got. You guys saw that on the unboxing video, and then I did another unboxing video a couple days later of some more stuff I got, and this one was in it. So anyway, the video that I made discussed how these work, and showed off the tool set that I got that's used for rekeying these. And I did this one, picked it. This is all in the video. I picked it, we gutted it, and then discovered it was actually master pinned. And what I did was I pulled out all of the master wafers, so that only this key that I had worked for it. And then we were putting it back together. And then in that process, my camera died. The battery died, and so I fired up another camera and tried to continue the video. And when I went to edit, I found out that when it died, it actually cut the video off way before when it died. And it didn't. So when I continued the video with the second camera, there's a big chunk in there that got missed, and I didn't realize that until I went to edit it, and then discovered that. So that was on this one. So what I'm gonna do is not even put that one out there, and we're gonna go with this one that I just got, and we'll do a pick on this one and a gut, and I'll explain how these locks work, and how to tear them apart and rekey them and put them back together. If you do not have one of these toolkits, you don't have to have one of these to do this. I have done it. I have done it without this. I did it with this one a long while back, but it is way more difficult. And it was the video that I shot that you guys are never going to see now. Actually, is the first time I ever used this, so we were kind of learning together. But now that I've gone through it once, I kind of know a little bit more. So hopefully it'll go a little bit smoother. That other video, actually, it's probably a good thing it didn't work out, because it wound up being like a 40-minute video. So hopefully we can do this one a little faster. So let's get the vise in here, and let's get this picked. And then as I go to gut this, I'll show you the tool that I've got, and how that works, and explain a little bit more, if you don't have that tool, what you can do to rekey one of these without it. So these two other ones that I have are on the Schlage SC1 keyway. This one is on a Yale style keyway, and I should have pulled one of my blanks to see if it was that or not. If it's a Yale Y1 or not, I'm not sure. I didn't look close enough. And if I decided I don't want to keep that one, actually the toolkit that I got came with an extra core in the Schlage SC1 keyway, so I could put that in there if I wanted to, and change the keyway out also. But we'll get this picked and then gutted, and then we'll decide from there how we want to pin it back up. So I'm just going to use a pry bar in the top, and this pick is you got a little bend to it. It's definitely seen better days, but it's kind of one of my go-tos for anything that I don't have a ton of working room. And you can pick these from the bottom. There's enough room to get through there with a 25 thousandths to get through the warding. I actually, in this case, am just going to use this short one and pick off that ledge of warding right there. So either way, however you guys want to pick them, And then there again, it's totally different with the SC1 keyway. So let's see what we can get out of this guy. There we go. All right, so there's our open. That one actually picked way easier than the other one that I did in the other video. So I think this one's it was a lot cleaner in the inside. This one was so grimed up on the inside that everything was real mushy. Okay, so we've got our lock open. Now, here's the deal. With the keys, you'll notice that this one has a notch cut out in the bottom of it, as opposed to this one. This is what you would call a control key, in that this is will allow you to turn the core past the 90-degree mark and be able to remove the core. So what I'm going to do is I'll lock this back up, and I'm going to show you normal operation with a normal key. You put it in and it's going to turn 90 degrees and stop, and that's when you get your open. Now if you, and it's key retaining. Now when you put this one in with the notch cut out there, and you'll see on this other one that I've got, I have two keys on that one also. There's a regular key and then the control key that I made when I put that back together. And this one, somebody just notched it out. And the way this works is there's there's a post that's mounted in the lock body that a normal key will hit, and that's what stops it at 90 degrees. Having that notch cut out allows you to turn the key past that 90-degree mark, and now you can see we're just past that 90-degree mark. And what that does is it turns so that this notch that's in the core will allow you to insert this paperclip looking tool, and I'm gonna set that right there. And if you are planning on doing this without the toolkit, I suggest getting a paperclip or a smaller piece of wire that fits in that notch and bending it in this configuration. It will help you immensely. I mentioned this in my unboxing video, but I'm going to mention it again. Bosnian Bill has a video. I think he did it fairly early on in his YouTube career, if you want to call it that, where he goes through rekeying one of these, and if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It is the funniest video that I've seen in a long time. I have never laughed so hard at a video ever. It's just, it hit me hilariously funny. And I every time I want to laugh, I go back and watch it just because it's that funny to me. And some people have said that, you know, it was set up, and some have said it wasn't. Whether it was or it wasn't, it was still hilarious. But what happened was, he had made his own tool to do what this one does. And when he went to, and he got all back together, and when he went to pull the tool out, the core, it wedged on the core, and the core came with it, and all the guts shot out, and it just hilarious. So anyway, what we're going to do is take your paper clip, or in this case the tool, and we're going to stick it down in that notch, and then we're going to push it on. And now you see how that kind of went on there kind of tight. You want it to be under good solid tension, and you don't want it to splay out once you put it on there. You want it to pop together, because this is going to hold all of those driver pins and springs in the lock while you pull the core out. And this, what happens is, make sure that's turned all the way, and then make sure that your clip is on there in just the right spot, and then hold your clip as you pull the core out. We're just going to do this very gently. Maybe. Oh, you know what? Well, that... Okay. Okay. We're going to put this on hold for a second because I just discovered that the control key that was sent is not going to allow us to pull this out because of this right here. That's why mine works on my other one. So let's... I'm going to pause it right here for a second, and then I'm going to pick this, get it all set back up, and we'll come back to it. Okay, guys, so here's what we got. I went ahead and I paused the video, and I repicked this so that we have it turned without a key in there. And I'll explain, you'll be able to see why this isn't going to work, or this key won't work. I'm going to have to file that off when I go, if I go to reuse that. But for now, let's get back to where we were. We're going to pop this guy in here. We are going to turn that core past our 90-degree mark. Make sure this is lined up and in there properly. And then we are going to pull this core out. Oh, good Lord. I just realized you guys might not have seen that. So anyway, put it all back the way it was when I had the key in there when you guys saw me doing that. So now I'm just going to take and pop this core out if I can. Let me find something with a little more hook on it here so I got a little more pulling power. Come on. There we go. You can see it's starting to come right there. Okay, so when we pull this out, the ball bearings that hold the shackle in are going to fall into the cavity for the core, and then the shackle and the spring and everything's going to spit out. So I'm just going to hold my hand on there, excuse me, and keep everything from falling out the bottom as I pull this out. We're just going to very carefully pull our core out and see if I can find where I set my pinning tray. Clearly, oh, there it is right there in front of me. Okay. Okay, we're going to set that there. So there's 6 holes drilled into the core. There's also 6 holes in the lock body, but it's only chambered with 5 pins. So every one of these that I've opened, it's been that way. So there is the ball bearing for this side. And then that's going to let our shackle and our spring pop out. And it looks like somebody had put a bunch of oil on this or something. But you can see, if you take a look inside there, and now I'm going to look for my flashlight. I'm not going to know where the heck that's at either. That's alright. I have many flashlights. If I could find one of them, though, I'd be way better off. Here we go. Okay. So, if you can take a look down in there, you can see where that paperclip tool is holding all of those driver pins in place. Now, we can... Let's see. We'll set this down right here and we'll leave it. Let's drop our key pins and see what we're working with here. Let me back out just a little bit so that you guys, I don't keep coming out of frame. Yep, those got some crud on them. 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5, and they all look like they're standards, which is exactly what I expected. I wasn't expecting any security pins. And then we have, let's see, the best way to do this. So the last time I did this, in the video you guys aren't ever going to see, I actually destroyed 3 of the springs because I have, so this is another part of the tool that, and I used this and I dropped it in there and I turned it so that all the driver pins drop down into here, but I could not separate the drivers and the springs and keep the springs in the lock body. So I ended up actually just tearing it out of there and destroyed 3 of the springs, which I knew I was going to do as soon as I did it. And I'm just trying to think of the best way to potentially go about doing this without just shooting everything everywhere. So let's just do that again. If I destroy the springs, I've got extras to put in there. We'll try not to, but sometimes it doesn't always work the way we want it to. So I put the tool in there, and I'm going to hold the tool core in, and I'm going to pull the paperclip tool out, and I'm going to turn this so that it lines up, and I'm hoping we can get those springs to drop down into the core, or into my core tool now, and I've got it lined up, and I can tell we're just resting on the springs because it's givey and springy, and so I know it's just the springs I'm sitting on, and I don't know of any way to take this out without losing the driver pins. Oh, I might have got it. Let's see what we got. Nope, there's at least 1 spring caught in there. Looks like it might have been 2 that I destroyed. But like I said, I kind of knew that was going to happen going into it. But I do have all 5 driver pins in there. Let's just set that right there for a second. Looks like I might have only destroyed 2 springs this time. Those others, there's 1. And the other 2 are still in there. There's 2. And there's 3. So 2 destroyed, and I managed to come out of there with 3 good ones. And then, like I said, you can see 6 holes in there that we can populate all 6 chambers if we so choose. Let's go ahead and get our driver pins out of the way. Well, not that it really matters which order these are in, because I'm pretty sure they're all standards, and at this point it's not really going to matter. And okay, so here's what you're looking at for your pins. This is stock, what was, well, I can't say stock because this is what was in there when I got the lock. So and these are got color on them, these key pins, so it looks like it has been rekeyed at some point. Which doesn't surprise me. I'm sure this is not the original key for this. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'll pause the video. I'm going to figure out how I want to pin this back up, and then we'll come back to it and I'll show you what I got. Alright guys, so I've got my pins picked out. Before I put all this stuff away, I wanted to point out and show you guys, if you watched my unpacking or unboxing video, one of the things that I had gotten in there was 3 11-ounce bags of mixed pins. And I wanted to show you what came out of that. I got them all sorted. Well, not completely, but I'll explain in a second. But so these are all standard key pins, Schleg, Quickset, that type of size. That's everything in here is what I got, and then these are all master wafers in this one here. And it's that one's about half full, so it's about that deep. And then you can see this one's 2/3 full, so it's about that deep. So a lot of those, and then this is one of the things I use to sort them. So everything here is American and master lock sized pins, so the smaller reduced diameter ones. And this is where I kind of started sorting those out, because there's a mix of, there's master wafers in here, and that's what actually is in here that I started sorting out. So these are American master size pins, master wafers, and then there's a bunch more mixed in here that I'm still sorting. And then key pins and some security pins that I've found out or pulled out of here. So I'm still sorting those. And then these are all Medico pins. So pretty decent little variety of Medico pins just in those 3 bags, if you want to take the time to sort them. It was a pretty good deal for what I picked them up for. I think they were, you know what, I can't even tell you. I really can't, because I bought so much stuff, I don't even remember how much those pins came out to be. But that was in that great big package of a bunch of stuff that I'd ordered, and the guy was so nice. He threw in a bunch of like 3 extra lock cores and gave me some extra key blanks from what I ordered, and just amazing, absolutely amazing guy to work with on eBay. I will, as soon as I pick one of the locks I got from him and do a video on it, I will let you guys know what his name is on eBay and how to find him somewhere or the other, so that if you guys are interested in any of this stuff, you know, you can definitely hook up with him, and he had just a ton of stuff. So anyway, so what I got here is I went through my stock of keys, my pre-cut keys, and I actually have 3 copies of this. It is a Yale Y1 keyway, and I have 3 identical copies of this particular key. So I went ahead and I just pulled these out, and then I found all the pins that I needed to make this key work. Now what I did, it is a 5-pin key, and it was initially set up as a 5-pin lock, but it is chambered for 6 pins. So I went ahead and even using this key, I was able to find a pin that will work in that 6th hole, so we can populate all 6 chambers and make it a little bit more difficult to pick. And I'm not doing any security pins in this. We're just basic repinning and showing you how these ALMONT rekeys work. So let's and then the other thing that I did, I'm gonna go ahead and load these while I'm talking. The other thing that I did was I got out my wipes. I have some cleaning oiling wipes that I use on my pistols, and I used those to clean all the gunk and grime out of the inside of the lock body and out of the core and everything else. So I kind of got everything cleaned up and oiled a bit, so that it should function fairly well. So now with this tool that we're talking about, one of the other things it comes with is, let me stick this key in here real quick. One of the other things that it comes with is this cylinder sleeve, and this works to be able to test your key pins and make sure you don't have any riding too high. And obviously you can look at them and see if you got any riding too low. But this kind of helps you pick out your pins so that you know they're going to work before you pop all this back together. So we have our core set. Now what we're going to do is load our springs. And I went through my pinning kit and I picked out 3 springs to replace the 2 that I destroyed in gutting this, and then the extra one for that 6 chamber we're going to populate. And the important part, if you're doing this with, hold on, let me get where I can see some light here. Sorry, you guys might not be able to see me putting this pin in, or this spring in, but trying to see through the light, or see through there with the light. That one might have a whole bunch of grime in it. I might not be able to populate the sixth chamber on this. I just can't quite tell yet. We might have to forego that. Let's see. Well, we got 5. Well, let me see if I can see 6 and try and get a spring in there. Okay, we got it. It's loaded. So what I was going to say is, what you want to do is load all your springs and then make sure that none of them are sticking above the shear line, because we're going to use the tool to repopulate all those driver pins. And in order to use that tool, you cannot have any springs sticking over the shear line or you'll screw them all up. So you can see nothing's sticking above the shear line. The one in the very back is just at the shear line in chamber 6. So we should be good to go. Okay, so let's set that there. We're going to load our driver pins. So when you got to make sure those springs are down below the shear line, because when you go to stick this in there, you're going to destroy them if they're not. Same way that I destroyed the one, the 2 when I pulled it all apart. So all our driver pins are loaded. Now we are going to stick one of the ball bearings in, and it's going to be the one that's going to go on that side, same side as where the driver pins are, because when we put this all back together and we pop this in there, it extends all the way down to hold that ball bearing in place also. So we want to make sure we get it in there now, and we should be able to pop this in, and we're going to tap and get all those dropped down, and then this little tool right here goes in to shove all those driver pins up into the block body. Maybe. Well, shoot. Let's see if I can see what's going on here. Sorry, I'm going to pull off camera for a second. I'm going to try and see if I can... Something doesn't want to line up. That first one just doesn't seem to... Somehow it got stuck. So let's try that again. Okay, they're all still populated. All their springs are still in place. This, the way this works is it's supposed to slide in there. You can see how it pushes all those pins up. And then once it's fully seated in there, it rides right there. And for some reason, it just didn't want to work didn't want to go that time. So let's see if we can try it again. Having a little trouble with that first one for some reason. Well, let's see if we can't figure this out. Alright, I'm going to set this down. Let's pop that first one out. See if we can figure out what the heck is going on here. For some reason, it's having an issue here. And it fits there. Which, it was the original driver pin that came out of it, so it shouldn't have any issues. Sorry if I'm off camera, guys. I'm just trying to figure out why this doesn't seem to want to work for me. I don't see any reason why it'd be hanging up, so let's try it again. Alright, we're getting somewhere now, I think. I don't know. We're about ready to get the hammer out at this point. We've got a little bit further. I think we got past that first one, I thought, but I don't know what's going on. See if we can persuade them at all. Well, I don't know what we got going on now. I think I got a couple of them in there. I got another one that's stuck. He just doesn't want to cooperate. Alright guys, I'm going to put this on hold so you guys aren't sitting here with me, and I'll come back to you in a minute. Alright guys, so here's what I did. Messed with it, jiggled around. I had the first two were in. I was still having issues. It seemed like it was bound up somewhere. I wasn't sure what was going on, but it didn't make no sense. So I decided the little persuasion tool, and just kind of use this finger, jiggled it back and forth slightly as I tapped on this, and eventually worked past that, whatever was hanging up, and got it all the way in there, and it's functioning just fine, it seems like. So so we're gonna take our tool, if I can hold on to it, and we're going to pop that down in there, pop that back up on there just like we did before, and then put your finger on it, and you can pull the tool out at this point, and you can look down and see that everything is populated, and the paper clip tool is holding everything in place just like it should. And we are ready for the next step, which is going to be, we're going to drop this ball bearing in, and we're also going to load our spring and our shackle. And we're going to turn it around. You see the ball bearing just sitting there. And we want to try and line this up just right, because we are going to have to, what we're going to do is take our lock core, we're going to line it up with the notch, and we're going to start pushing it down in there. And I was holding the shackle at the same time, and since it's turned, it allows for that ball bearing to move in there. Sometimes you got to kind of work the core and the shackle all at the same time to relieve enough, make enough space for that ball bearing to slip in and out of the way. But this one went together beautifully. Now, pay very close attention. This part is super important. Put your thumb on the core. Then pull your tool out. Make sure your thumb's on the core. Watch Bosnia and Bill's video and you'll understand why I'm adamant about that. So at this point, if you're confident in all of your abilities, it's not going to turn back in the lock because it's key retaining. So we have to push the core or the shackle in, and then we can turn it and lock it. And hopefully, you can see we're all locked up and our key works beautifully. And like I said, we have a couple of these, so we can try them all, make sure they're all going to work. Well, that one, there we go. That one works with a little jiggle. So what I might do is, there we go. Just a little jiggle. That key's a little finicky. The other two seem to work just fine. So what I'll probably do is use these as my operator keys, and I will cut the bottom section of this one off from about there back, so it's going to look similar to that one, and I'll have that as my control key. So I got two operator keys and a control key, and there's our ALMONT rekeyed, and use of the ALMONT rekey tool, and that's it. So thanks for watching. If you stuck in there with me this long, I appreciate it. Come back for the next one, and until then, keep it legal.